Omid Kojo Show.
We should probably talk about some flips.
Yeah.
Should probably do what? Yeah, what we meant to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what we could talk about why we're doing this.
Oh, yeah, and what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one to start off with. So once the whole COVID situation is at bay, and me and Omid can be in the same place again, then we want to start getting other people involved in these. So whoever's watching, we just want to talk to random people on these live chats, like if we're both in the same place, and also get different pro trickers on and just see what they have to say, and just characters in the community. Get Condog Axis on.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the key players.
The real OGs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Owen's pricks.
You want to talk about your the comments thing?
Oh yeah, right. So so I posted a jackknife on, well, I posted 2 jackknives on my page today, and I basically, brief caption just saying, like, the first one is what I'm trying to get to, like, it's closer to the style that I want, and then the second one was it was just the way I naturally do jackknife. And there were a couple of comments of people just being like, just be yourself, bro. And well, I understand, like, it's a nice comment in some ways, but I don't necessarily understand why people comment a lot of the things that they do. Like, especially when there's no kind of explanation.
Well, let's talk about that one in particular, the be yourself thing, because that's something that people say a lot in tricking, but I feel like it can be misinterpreted a bit.
Well,
you know?
I think it's thrown around a lot when the intent isn't really there, because I think also it is okay for you to not want to be what you currently are.
Well, it is still you though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's an interesting topic. What do people think about the being yourself in tricking? Yeah, Tommy K said not a bad thing to involve your tricks and style. I agree with that.
That's kind of what I was getting at, because it's like, even though it's still you, you are right in that sense, but it's like sometimes it's okay to look at yourself and say, I'm not okay the way that I am because I want to be better. But it is also an important part of the kind of evolution. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's just, I think especially now I don't know, everyone seems quite soft, and I'm not a big fan of it, because, like, I think it's
what do you
good.
mean?
Well, like, people like getting participation trophies and stuff for like,
What's that got to do with anything?
Not keeping score, like, just generally, like, people end up being soft as a result of that. So then it's kind of like, we'll kind of let the standards slip. So it's okay, I can just be myself with my tricks, but it's like, you're not, like,
okay, I see what
I'm saying.
When people say it being their self is like an excuse for bad technique, and I think
pretty
that's
much
still kind of fair enough, because it's their tricking and they can do it however they want. And sometimes something that might be kind of like bad technique that can look cool. Like, there's some trickers who do things in a way where it would be much easier if they did it like in a different way, but it still looks cool. Like Rasmus Ott's an example of that. Oh, he's not got like bad technique or anything, but the way he does some things, it would be easier. There's like cheating ways to do it, you know?
Yeah, well, there's just more efficient
Well, not
ways
cheating. There's just more efficient ways, but he does it in a harder way, which is kind of cool. And I guess that all adds to your style.
Yeah, and I don't know, my original point with the whole, like, I don't know, participation trophy situation is because, like, I don't know, for me in particular, like, you and I have spoken about this on a number of occasions, but I feel like, especially over the past year and a half or so, I have become really soft, and it's something that I'm really trying to break out of, because I'm not a flaccid little cuckle brother. Like, it's just not who I am deep down. But there's, like, it's easier to kind of let these standards slip and, like, let your kind of idea of what's great get kind of relaxed,
I
because
think
you get injured and all that shit.
something you can get into with that is you get so used to seeing yourself do a trick the way you do it that
Yeah.
it kind of stops changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think, oh, that's just the way I do it, but you still got to like visualize that next level, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise you stop improving. I think if you're not, with every trick you do, if you're not looking towards like, what's the next level of me doing this trick, then it will kind of stop improving, even if you keep training it.
Yeah. And I think that's the most, I don't know, it's the most fun part of tricking for me, that constant progress. Like, even if you have a bad session, there's always progress that's being made, even if it's just the fact that you have just exercised for X amount of hours. And it's something that I love about tricking because it's just the most fun.
Yeah.
But
well,
yeah.
you got sleepy Kojo today.
Yeah.
Sorry, you seem sleepy as well.
Well, yeah, it's been a long life. I'm fed up with this lockdown, brother.
It's been a long life. You just lived for a few days too long.
Yeah, I'm talking about evolution. I think my evolution's just into a slug. I don't know what's happened to me.
Oh, it's gone moldy. I'm just tired from training. My legs are dead.
Yeah.
They've had enough. All right. So Jonas said, what do you think is the hardest trick that has been done before? So the hardest single trick to do. So not a combination, just one move by itself. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one because what are the contenders? You got pop.
Quad.
I'd say pop double full snapu double.
Yeah.
Like doing that out of the pop, like Shosei. Pop double full in.
Quad cork's got to be up there.
Quad cork, yeah, for sure. Maybe double fill. Maybe like scoot double full in.
Yeah.
Or not standing double back. That's not up there with that, really. I wouldn't say so. Someone said quad swing. So, yeah, I guess but that's not too. Okay, so that would count as doing a quad onto one leg.
Yeah.
So doing a quad onto one leg versus double full in, what's harder? I think as it's from scoot, that kind of changes things a bit. But then is that talking about the single trick? What variations have people done that are really hard? Like frappe is a pretty crazy one.
Yeah. What's the other one? Is frappe the swing one?
No, that's like the full in aerial out, pretty much the late nine swipe with his,
Well, the swing version of frappe. What was that? The macaroon?
He hasn't done that.
I thought he did.
What, cork in aerial out?
Nah. It was like the.
Well, it's not the same as frappe, then, is it? You
know.
mean the gainer one? I know what
you
mean.
Wait, what did? Yeah, I said the swing. Oh, okay, frappe is the one with the full. Yeah, okay, yeah. I lose track of those tricks because it's like one person that's doing it. So I'm like, I'm not seeing it that often. It's not coming up.
Yeah. Lele said, imagine scoop miss leg triple B twist. I mean, Shosei could probably do that. It'll be probably an under flipped B twist, but he could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tack trip's pretty nuts.
Tack trip is pretty nuts, but nowhere near. I would say that's on the level of the other things because you get the setup low and fast enough. You just kind of riding it.
I don't know.
Standing quad. Well, the one step into quad. Shosei didn't land that though, did he? But he tried.
Nah.
He did that step into trip dub. How mental is that?
You see, that's another thing for me. I'm really bad at keeping track of things that have gone on because, like, there was a period where it was so much. Like every time, every day, several times a day, I'd open my phone and there'd be something that I used to laugh about being landed, and
someone's doing it.
Someone's just doing it like it's nothing.
Dilk said, which setup is the most OP, TDR, Master Scoot, or Valdez? And when you really think about it, I think Valdez could be the most powerful setup because you think, if you just look at gymnastics and you look how they don't do round off into full in, double full out, do they? They do round off back handspring. So the same in tricking, like a TDR to a Valdez is going to be more powerful than just a TDR by itself. If it's done correctly, if you can do it and really carry momentum and use a load of distance. So I think like Pop Valdez to swing could end up being like the most powerful trick in setup.
Yeah,
You know, I could see that in the future. Everyone's like spamming touchdown raise Valdez to swing cork in full out and shit.
yeah,
I could see that.
I could see like crazy long B twist Valdez to punches being done as well. So like it literally takes up half of the floor with the B twist and then the second half of the floor with the Valdez because you're so low and like just flinging yourself back into the Valdez to punch. That I feel like
that could be a crazy one.
I think it just looked amazing as well, like just super crazy.
Someone doing like B twist Valdez, full D leg in, D leg out,
full D leg twist, D leg twist, D leg twist.
You just kind of fishing around. That'd be wild.
Imagine full D leg twist in would be nuts.
So, someone said, "How can I get my leg horizontal for the cork? It's always below my hips." Strong gainer. I think anyone who can't invert a cork is because they're not good enough at gainer. Because if you're good enough at gainer, you just take off like a gainer and then do the twist and you flipped. So yeah, normally that problem's people rushing ahead trying to do corks when they don't have a good gainer.
Yes, Aki. That's good, Jake. Hello.
And you got little Nev in there.
Nev saying, only ever saying hello.
All right, let's see what Connor said. I've started to do this to see if it helps with training, but what are your thoughts on doing meditation to help with mentally, with training and shit like that? What do you think? Go on.
I've only ever been able to meditate once or twice in my life. I find it kind of difficult to meditate, but I've never really implemented it into my training. I would imagine it would be probably a really good tool. Like imagine if at the beginning of every session you could just kind of, if there was nobody around and you were just on the grass and you could just meditate for like 10-15 minutes and then get into tricks. I feel like you'd be at like such a good level of focus that it would just make everything a lot more honed in.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you kind of do a form of that at the gym. Like, it's not sitting meditation, but even just listening to music and trying to clear your head as you warm up.
Yeah.
It's a form of it. Like, I see my stretching as a form of meditation, really. When I get really deep into it, because I try to clear my mind as much as possible and only think, like, lots of the time when I'm deep in a stretch, then I try to like zone out everything else and just imagine I had a shovel and I was digging a hole, or I've got a pickaxe and I'm hitting my way through a wall. And it's like, as I visualize myself digging deeper, my body goes deeper into the stretch. That's until cool. Before you know it, you're in a straddle with your chest on the floor.
It's weird actually. I always kind of end up, there's only ever two things, like when I get really zoned in on a stretch, like if I'm just trying to stay in box for as long as possible, my mind always runs to flowers and clouds, and I don't really know why. I think I'm just trying to clear my mind so much, and I know whenever I look up at the sky, it's always kind of like, I don't know, kind of relaxing. So I guess it just kind of takes me there.
But one thing about on the meditation point, really, it's like if you're looking for a benefit from meditation, then you're not really doing meditation. Because the whole point is to remove yourself from that. If you're doing it as an act to like achieve a goal, then it's not really meditation.
Well, no,
it's meant to be like nothingness with no aim. You're meant to just not be thinking.
No, you can still go into it with a purpose, though.
I mean, it can. Yeah, it's just, I think if you're thinking about that, then it takes away from like what it actually is. I don't know. I can't explain it very well. Listen to Alan Watts. He explains it a lot better than me.
No, I feel you. But do you not think that you could? Yeah. Do you not think that you could go into it with the
knowing that it will help?
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, but I think it's more about your mindset. Like as you're doing it, I think if you're doing it thinking like, oh, this is going to help me with this, this, and this, then you're not going to be able to get as deep into it as if you're like, this is just what I'm doing. There's nothing else happening. There's nothing before. This is it. This is my life now.
There are different levels of it though, because like I know the first time I ever really tried to meditate was when I went to Colorado the first time, and there was like, it was like a 30-minute period, and I had no idea how much time had passed. I completely removed all thoughts, and after that, I genuinely felt like I was kind of high, and I like, obviously I don't think that would be useful for me to then go and have a session, because I was like so relaxed that like I wouldn't be able to like give it the, I don't know, the oomph that I need.
Useful
So
to
I guess
clear your mind, though. I think it's still good to, just clear out your mind and help change perspectives and stuff. Because when you're in that state, like after meditation or something like that, that's when you like figure things out.
Well, you've had periods of doing yoga quite frequently.
Yeah.
I guess like, especially the hot yoga, like.
Oh yeah, at the end of hot yoga. All right, so having a shower after hot yoga, it's like being born again. I just feel like
I've
like
never
a
actually done hot
baby
yoga.
just plopping out of there. No, it's mental. It's mental. You feel amazing afterwards. Yeah, like if I every time I ever did hot yoga, my mood afterwards for the rest of the day was great. Like I don't think I've ever had a bad hot yoga session. It makes me think like, why am I not doing it? Well, I guess I can't do it now because of the old COVID, Mr. COVID.
Yeah.
But
Mr. 19.
Mr. COVID.
Oh
yeah. Oh, all right. Was Akib saying? Yes, I believe there is a big difference between zest and zen. I really think yoga puts you in a state of zen. I can't say zen very well, but to do tricking, you need to be in a state of zest, right? It's a hard one. Yeah, you do need to be in a state of zest. You gotta be zesty.
Yeah, you gotta get your lemons out for the lads.
Yeah, a little squirt of zest in there, in your jackknife.
I don't know. Saying that though, it's like,
What?
I think you need that balance between the zest and the zen, because
you can be too much zest at the session. That's what pre-workout does to me.
Yeah, I was
like,
just about to say.
Yeah. Too zesty.
Pre-workout absolutely bodies me when I have just a little bit too much. I'm just like, I feel like I'm on something way worse than pre-workout.
Yeah, same. What are your guys' views on pre-workout in the comments? Because for me, it's like I can do power tricks great with pre-workout, but then that's about it. It kills my creativity, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not having pre-workout to be working out new concepts. I'm having it to blast out some power tricks. So it's really good for that. But yeah, I try not to make a habit of it. Like, you don't want it every week or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, it's always kind of hit and miss for me. It's either like a little bit of a boost, or it fucks me up.
But at gatherings, sometimes
it
can give you a 6-hour session though. Sometimes.
No, that's true. I don't know. Aaron was telling me the other day about him. He's been going on pre-workout runs. And
weird.
I'm really excited to give it a go, but I'm also a little bit worried that I'm gonna do way too much. That I'm just gonna end up running for like 19 miles and get back home and not be able to walk for like a week.
I don't know. It'll probably do you some good though. Like, you'd learn some things along the way. I feel like whenever you push your limits in any arena, then it teaches you something. You know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what. Like, I know it's like dwarfed, especially for you as well because of your brother. But like, doing that 7-mile run the other day, I was absolutely blown away. Like, if it wasn't for tricking, I think I could have happily just gone on and done like 20 miles. Like, I could have just carried on, and also we had the live and all that kind of shit. But like, I can't wait until my body can actually keep up with how I'm feeling stamina wise and mentally, because it's such a weird like pain / exhilarating and relaxing feeling. Because once I got into the groove of it, once I got to like 5 miles, I was just kind of going, and there was like, didn't feel anything really, and it was just really freeing because my body was just moving and it was beautiful outside. I don't know, it was good.
It's good for you. I want to get back into it. It's just I ran yesterday, but my legs, well, it's mainly my ankles were just hurting because I tripped quite a few days in a row before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to keep trying to do some.
How do you find with training as a whole? How do you find because with tricks, I know for me, I feel like during the session now, I can kind of know how it's going to affect me the next day. Whereas with anything that's a little bit different, especially if I'm pushing my limits, like with running, I have to just kind of trial and error it. Do you still find the same thing with tricks or with anything else?
Yeah,
Like, how does that differ for you?
it's just any new movement, you know, and any new movement, you're not quite gonna know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect. You know, like I'm trying to think. Oh, an example when I was really shocked. All right, so I did 10 back tucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was a time I did 10 back tucks like about 6 months ago, and my abs killed for a whole week doing 10 back tucks. And it's like I could easily do 100 or 150 gainer switches in a session, and I would feel absolutely fine. But just because I don't do back tucks often, and it uses my abs in a way I guess I'm not as used to because I mainly use momentum to gain a switch,
Yeah.
then it messed me up. So that's a crazy one. Even something that's really easy, if you're not used to it, you feel. I think that's one of the reasons why Johan can do what he does. I think because, and I guess like what you said about Ethan Turner, how he makes his tricks kind of similar to each other, so he understands all of them.
Yeah.
You know, I think, yeah, the more similar your tricks are to each other, I guess the less your body aches. Like Johan, because of all of his tricks are somewhat like they're all locked in and somewhat similar to him. They're like it looks like it. It looks like he's always moving in the same sort of way,
Yeah.
even though he's doing different tricks. So I think it tires his body out less.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a good way to go if that's what you want to achieve. Whereas, I don't know, that's not really in line with my goals.
Well, you don't want to.
My
No,
tricks.
I mean there'll be a period where your body's hurting extra because you're learning something new.
Yeah, of course.
But and I guess you can always incorporate some of that into your training. But if that's like a huge portion of your training, learning new tricks, I think your body would get fucked up way more.
Well, that's what happens in the earlier stages.
That's true. That's an interesting topic. Like, how much do you balance your training? How much of the time do you spend doing things you can already do fine, and how much of the time do you spend working on things you can't do or like really struggle with?
Yeah. Well, there's definite, I don't know, for me, especially in the earlier days, because I wasn't really as aware of like what training was. I was just kind of doing my flips to get better. I wasn't like calculated with anything that I was doing. It was almost like I just felt like a caveman compared to the way that I view tricks now. I was just kind of like, I want double. I
do
must
double.
do single. Lots. And it's like, whereas now I'm trying to think of like, I don't know, all the different variants that I can do and like different ways of training things so that I can get to a goal that might be like completely unrelated. But in the earlier days, I would have sessions where I wouldn't do any of the tricks that I could do, and then I would have sessions where I was only doing tricks that I could do because I wanted to get better at them. But a big part of it was because there was always a session the next day. So it was like I could spend the whole session doing only new tricks. Like I could go in and just be like, I'm not going to do anything that I can currently do.
I guess that makes it easier if you have more sessions. Like if you're only training a couple times a week, then just to maintain the tricks you've got, you need to be doing them. Like for me, then I'd say, especially now, especially since breaking my ankle, probably spend like 95% of the time doing things I can do and trying to make them better. And then like 5% of the time working on new things and slowly incorporating them into my tricking. It's kind of, I'm just taking a slower paced approach. And I guess I'm trying to shift my style like overall, try and make my whole tricking look different, even some of the same moves, but do them in a different way. So it kind of takes a bit of that. And also it builds my body to be stronger so that maybe in 6 months from now, I can spend more time working on new stuff.
Well, there's a couple of things there where I feel like, okay, so if you worked on, let's say, a pool of 10 tricks and you made them all look the way that you wanted to, and you refined and refined and refined, and you didn't spend much time doing other tricks, I feel like that would impact your style in such a huge way that it would mean that any new tricks that you learned from that point forward would just mean that, and I think the other thing that I wanted to mention was like, I guess now with the approach that we have to our training, like we've also been doing it for so long that there's so many tricks that we've been able to do at one point. So it's kind of like you're not learning that many new things.
No, it's like when you've gone through loads of tricks, then you can't constantly be doing all of them. If you're trying to train every trick you could do, then none of them would really get many reps. So none of them, you know, like before you got round to the first one again, then it would have gotten worse.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't make any progress. I just mean there wouldn't be enough time. Even if you have 4 sessions a week, if we were training every single trick we could do, so we're doing like standing side flip and running punch side flip and the one leg take off for side flip, and we're doing round off back flips and round off layouts, round off flash kick, round off double flash, triple flash, back handspring. If we did every trick we've done over the years, you just wouldn't get through all of them in a week. So the first ones you just get worse at again. You wouldn't make any progress, I don't think.
Well, it's crazy looking back at either of our videos over the years. Like, I look back and see your shit, and I'm like, when did he do that? Like, I didn't know he could do that. And I look back on my own shit, and I'm thinking, I completely forgot I could do that.
Yeah. So, no, I'm always forgetting. I look at my old videos, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Forgot I could do that. There's tricks that I completely forget that I could do. Like, think gain a scissor, front swing aerial. I used to do that. It's funny. I just kind of assume that it's not something I do, but I used to do that.
For me, GMS front swing.
Yeah, I remember you used to do that.
I was really good at that. I could do whatever I wanted out of it. But I didn't even train it like that. Once I got it, I didn't train it that much. So it's just kind of like I forget. Should we respond to some of these comments?
Well, I was just going to say to Owen Tricks, he says, I pick what tricks matter to me, which is part of what I think develops people's styles. Totally agree with you on that. Yeah. That's where I'm at with it now. Just picking the tricks that I want to get good at, not really getting too into the trends. If I'm going to put loads of work into a trick, then it's probably going to be one that I really want to do, not one that everyone's doing.
Yeah.
What else are people saying? Go on, you read one on it.
What was it I was going to...
What?
Someone said, I wish you all the best from Iran.
The Iranians love you.
I know, shouting out the motherland.
You're
mother
holding
country.
it down for them. For the Persians.
Right, so someone said, almost complete beginner here. Do you suggest training something before actually going into tricking? Now, I don't know what that means, but I'm just going to answer anyway.
Go on.
I suggest you work on a bunch of different things surrounding tricking, such as all your conditioning, doing some kind of cardio, and if you're talking about other sports, then
trampoline,
maybe fencing.
What are you talking about, man? do some conditioning, start working on basic tricks, and stretch alongside that. Yeah. And condition alongside that. You do it all at the same time. Because I see a lot of people ask that. I don't think you should just condition a bunch and then start. I think you should already start, but be doing just as much like exercising outside of your tricking as well, because it will take quite a bit to get your body used to it. Yeah. So one of these questions, which I thought was pretty interesting, what are your guys' aspirations for tricking and the community as it evolves? And I think that bit about the community, me personally, in the past, I was much more of an interest in where tricking goes, but now I kind of see it like it's going to go where it's going to go. I can't really control it, so like I'll try and add to it, but I'm not necessarily trying to guide it. I just want to help out the people who are like me, because I know how to help them best. So people who are training themselves, who want to get really good at tricks, those are my people, and I can help them. Everyone else, I'm just leaving them to it, you know?
Interesting question. Do you think you... Okay, no, different question. What do you think your purpose in tricking is? What do you think you're going to be most useful for in tricking? And Like, do you think, and what do you think that's going to come from? Because obviously there's going to be different areas, like just general inspiration is mainly going to come from just being great at tricks. But do you think that's going to be your main purpose to like for tricking, or do you want to like influence a style or a way of thinking, or what? What do you?
I'd like to, like, I'm talking about this more and more. I'd like to help people know what to train, and by that I don't mean like telling them which moves they should be training, but helping them to understand like that they should be doing what they want and trying to like see the big picture. So what I mean by that is encouraging more people to have a dream trick or dream combo, and even though it might take them 3 years to get that combo, actually like going after it, because that's going to be more fulfilling than just doing what everyone else does and doing the cheat nine hook side swipe touchdown raise box cutter and just, you know, getting your dub, getting your triple core. All of that's great. It is fun, but you're probably going to find more fulfillment if you can think of a goal, like a real dream, that's something brand new, because then we'd have more people creating whole new styles of tricking and new tricks. So I want to encourage more people to do that, mainly by, like, I'm trying to do it myself, but it's going to take a long time for the results to show. As to learn a whole new style of tricking, it's going to take a few years. But I'd like to do it by convincing people with my compelling arguments.
Well, okay. Question then: Do you think that will vary from person to person, or do you think that fulfillment will come regardless? Because I personally think that's going to vary from person to person, depending on how.
It's not going to be everyone. I don't mean everyone. I don't want.
No,
I
of
think,
course. I get what you're
I just
saying.
mean some people. I just mean. I just think of me.
The people
and I
that
think
are really fucking into it. Yeah.
There's always going to be more versions of yourself. I mean, that's why I started KTL. That was one of the main reasons, because I thought there's going to be someone else who was like me, who's a kid who wants to get really good at tricks, who's prepared to train for hours and hours every day, do whatever they can to get better at tricks. And I want to make sure they have all the information on technique and how to train well so that they can actually do that. Because I tried to do that, but didn't have that information and still got pretty good, but I would have got a lot better if I had like a service like the one I'm providing, you know?
Yeah. I think you're doing a pretty fucking good job of that. But
I was gonna get onto something. So yeah, I think if I'm thinking this way, there'll be other people. So not everyone, but there'll be some people that would have been more fulfilled chasing after dream combos rather than just doing the tricking staples.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I want to like ignite that in them. That's the main way I want to influence tricking at the moment. I'm not trying to have the biggest influence. My main concern is my own tricks, but outside of that, that's what I'm interested in at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Richie said, how do you keep your session going without losing motivation or getting bored? How do you get bored during
how are you getting
the session?
bored?
It's like, if you're getting bored doing flips, then do you even like doing tricking? I don't know.
No.
Just do different flips. Do some different flips. Change the way you're looking at them. Like, do something you've done 1,000 times already and try and do it the best you've ever done it. That's why I can still have fun just doing raise, doing that one trick, which I've been doing for like 6 or 7 years now. I still have fun doing that one trick because there's always something to improve. So take any trick and then try and improve it and get joy that way. That's the way I get enjoyment, and that's the way I stay motivated anyway. So
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. I find it strange that you would get bored, but at the same time, everyone's different. But I'd kind of imagine that it's kind of like if you and I were to play computer games or something, it does get boring after a bit. Even though it's fun and we do enjoy it, it's just because we're not that invested.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we can still like it.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of just like tricks. I guess if you're searching for reasons to like keep yourself entertained while tricking, then maybe tricking's just something you're just gonna do a bit, you know? It's probably not your main passion in life, which is fine.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
need a
it
certain
doesn't
level of
have to
honesty
be.
with yourself.
Yeah. And it also goes through ups and downs. I know some people get more into tricks at different points and less into it at other points. So
Well, I'm less into it when I'm really sad because I'm injured or whatever. So
yeah,
maybe
injury puts you off.
that's playing a part.
See, I do the opposite though. When I'm injured, I'm more into it, and it just makes me more upset. I just
No,
upset
no.
myself.
Well, I just kind of, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I want to be nasty to tricking. Like if it was a thing, I would love to just be really nasty to it and just be screaming at it and hitting it. But I can't do that, so I'm just kind of mad at myself. It's not a good thing. But
No.
what's it? Oh wait, I wanna say what I think. Okay, actually. So on the question of like what you think your purpose is, what do you think? What would you like to do with that? Like, how would you like to? I don't know. Would you like to get it to a point where you could be getting like seminars together where you kind of talk to trickers about your kind of ideologies? Like,
Yeah, I mean
what's the goal for you?
that's part of what I wanted to do with running like coaching workshops and mindset talks, which I was in the process of setting up before this COVID happened and cancelled every gathering in the world. So yeah, I'd like to get better at public speaking. I've been practicing it like whenever I have the opportunity to teach big groups. Like at Hooked, I taught like over 100 people at one time. So I want to get better at speaking to big groups and have better analogies so that I can actually like influence the way people think, kind of get my point across more clearly. Yeah, so I guess that's the end goal, being able to do talks to groups of trickers and hopefully benefit their mindset in some way, you know, towards being able to achieve the goals they want to achieve. Because like I always knew that I had these goals as well. That's part of it. Yeah, I'm not telling people to change their goals. It's like I knew I wanted to do interesting, like dope looking tricks that I really liked. Like I liked how helicopteros look, and I think jackknives are really cool, and I like vanished rays, and I wanted all of this stuff. But I got caught up doing other things because I felt like I needed to be able to do it. I felt like I needed to be good at doing cheat night and hook into stuff. When really, that's not something I overly want to do. So why am I putting all this effort into being good at it? Because all the effort I put into being good at that is effort I'm not putting into something else.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that. Well, I think for me, like, I'd like to be able to just kind of show tricking to people in a lot of ways. And like, because I've always been like a really, I don't know, it's a good and a bad thing, but I've
A
always
loud
been
Dudley
pretty,
boy.
no, like, well, yes, that, but also like, I've always just been pretty obsessive about things, and it's been really beneficial for me with tricking, but it's also been kind of detrimental for a lot of other things. But like, I'd like to be able to show tricking to the world and also kind of get, because the thing is, I remember when I found tricking, it was almost like I'd found like a piece of my life that was always missing, and then now I'd finally got it. And I know it sounds bent, but it's like,
That's so bad.
I know, but like, it genuinely, that's what it felt like. I was just like, okay, this is it. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I've just done it for the past like 8-9 years. And it's not wavered. Like at no point throughout these past 8 or 9 years have I thought, not all that into it. Like even when I destroyed my knee and like my life's gone to shit in so many ways, but it's still just like one of the pillars that kind of keeps me together. So it's like I'd love to be able to get others to kind of see that kind of the way I see it, you know, because I know it could help a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting one. And let me answer one of these comments because that's also interesting. Do you think there is a limit to how good someone can get with tricks? I think that's a really interesting one because, yeah, there's a limit for everyone. because even if everything goes perfectly and you get like stem cell treatments and your body's functioning great into your 60s or whatever, everyone is going to die at some point. So you're not going to be able to trick forever. So there is always going to be an end. There
Pretty
is going to
fucking
be
morbid days.
I'm just saying, I'm going to bring it up again. I'm going to make it lighter again. There is going to be a limit to how good you can get, but it's up to you to choose like which kind of good you want to be. If you think of all your skills like a pyramid, you could have a really thin, high pyramid where you're like super good at some stuff. Like you can do full in, full out, you can do quad falls, but they're not that good at other stuff. Or you could have a huge range of tricks, but it's like a wider, flatter pyramid where you're not as good at any of them. Or you can just have a sharp pyramid in some other area where you're super good at different style type movements. So yeah, there is a limit, but it's just choosing which limit you want to go for. Because there's an infinite amount of choices, isn't there, really? Every tricker has a slightly different skill set.
Well, yeah, there's an infinite amount of choices and a finite amount of time.
Yeah, so you got to choose wisely.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been talking about that a lot lately, which is strange because that's just something that we never talked about. Like a year ago, we didn't talk about that for like 9 years or whatever.
Well, I think it's just a natural thing as you kind of progress through life. You realize how important time is because you do, like, everybody has the same 24 hours. So, like, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what am I going to spend my 24 hours doing? Like, we've been alive for so long at this point that it's like, what?
We've not been alive that long. But
bro,
yeah.
It
Quite
feels
long.
like an eternity.
We got Drumev, by the way. We need to get Drumev on. So when we start doing it, so me and Omid are in the same place, then we're going to get different people on during each of these talks. We want to get random people on too, but definitely Drumev Power, because
Definitely.
that'll be a good time.
Such a loose cannon.
Yeah, for sure. What else are people saying? You want to show the tricking like a sport or made the tricking famous in the world? Answer that one, Omid.
Well, I'm not trying to make it famous. Maybe more favourite.
Famous. Drumev says, I'm naked right now. Of course he is. We definitely need to get you on the live.
100%.
But
I spend my time in broke me leg. I'm sorry to hear that.
That sounds like a bad time.
Blackhorns.
Sounds like a bad time for Blackhorns. Yeah, you were going to answer it. Did you say you want to make tricking more famous? You want to make Omid more famous? What?
And that it's more like I just want, because I know it's more about just kind of giving more people the opportunity to kind of see it and to see it in its like real form. Because the people that kind of have shown tricking to the largest number of people a lot of the time in the past were people that weren't really representing what real tricking is. And I mean, like, the diversity of tricking and the level of difficulty and the technicalities of it and various different elements of it, because I think it's just the same as any other sport. Like, the more simple things are going to garner the most amount of attention because it's more digestible. But I think if you can gradually build something so people actually become invested in the story of what somebody is doing, then hopefully that will kind of resonate with more people as I progress.
Yeah, instead of a crazy guy doing all these flips, they kind of see a bit of the process behind it. You see us working towards creating these combos. Yeah, because if you see tricking as like this crazy stunts that people are throwing, I can see how someone who would potentially be into it wouldn't be that into it. But then when you see it as a kind of art where you create all these different like cool looking combos, it's just a whole nother way to look at it, isn't it?
And also the fact that you have to fucking put hella work in, like, because a lot of people just kind of, like, I've had people say like, oh, you're just so naturally talented, and it's like, no, not at all. Like, in certain areas, like, I picked up tricks way faster than other people, but like, you can vouch for me, I couldn't do a fucking standing 360 jump when I first started.
I remember.
I'd just fall down. So it's not like a natural thing. You just, if you work towards something, you can achieve things that just make you so much happier. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you learn a lot from it being hard as well. I think if it was too easy, then it wouldn't be as satisfying. I know it wouldn't anyway. If anything I wanted to learn, I just learned really easy, then it wouldn't mean anywhere near as much. But yeah, I want to respond to a couple of these comments. One of them says, how long do you think your sessions have to be, or how often you have them to progress well? The other one, how long does your session last, and how has that changed over the years? So I think with session times and stuff, you should be as fluid as possible. I don't think you should be rigid saying, I need to do this many flips at this time. I think with conditioning and even with stretching, though I'm not that much, I think you can be more rigid with them. You can have more of a routine. But with tricking, I think you should really judge it off of how you feel. I don't think you should force it. If you do 10 minutes of flips and that's all, like that's what felt right that day, then just do those 10 minutes. It means you're going to be more fresh tomorrow. If you're really, really into it and you're going for 3 hours, keep going. Like sometimes I've been super into my session. I've done 2 hours and I'm like, I'm still feel all right. I want to do more tricks, and I just keep doing tricks, and it can go on for 4 hours sometimes. So be open to a session being 10 minutes or 4 hours long, rather than trying to make them all a set amount of time. That means when you feel really good, you'll do a lot more and you'll cover a lot of ground. When you don't feel so good, you'll just do a little bit.
Well, I think it's also dependent on like how often you're training, because if you're training really frequently, like if you're training like 5 to 7 times a week, then that's like you can't force it. There's just no fucking point.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to, even if you're training less, you still don't want to force it. It's like you feel the urge to force it. And maybe one thing you could force, if you're really not feeling it, then you could just do some like chill, easy tricks and drill them out. And you could say, all right, I'm going to drill these out for another 40 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're trying to force like good tricks when you're not feeling it, I don't think that's the way to go. Don't think it really helps.
You just got to listen to your body in that sense, because you're just going to fuck yourself up otherwise.
Oh, we got a Chilean in the chat.
Why, brother?
Chile. All right. Drumev said, well, at some point you're getting used to with forcing. I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
I think you're saying you get used to just forcing things.
Yeah, you get used to making, I don't know. I understand like forcing a trick. Okay, so you can force a trick in terms of like, if you really want to land something, then you can force it. You can like make it happen. That's fair enough. But I mean like forcing a session. I mean, if you don't feel good for tricks that day, if your body's really hurting, then I think like kind of ease into it, do what feels good. And if more stuff starts to feel good, do more stuff. If it doesn't, then sometimes that's time to leave it, because lots of my strains and stuff I've had in the past have been because of me pushing through when my body's really not having it.
Yeah, the same for me. Someone said, Kojo, have you thought of utilizing POV for your tutorials? Just a thought, but I could see it being a useful tool.
I've heard a couple people say that before. It's such a bad idea.
No,
like,
wait. I want to say, if it was like, imagine if you could do POV with like an 8K like red camera attached to your head in super slow-mo, I think it might add the tiniest bit of value.
I still don't think it would particularly help.
Yeah, no, there's not that much point. You can just say,
it could be a good novelty. I think if you had a really good camera, which you somehow attach to your head, and it can play like super it doesn't blur, no motion blur or anything, then it would be a good novelty to have if you're telling someone to spot here, this is what you see. But realistically, I don't think it's the way to go. I think you can get your point across without doing that.
Now imagine if all your tutorials were filmed with like a red camera on your forehead like this.
Like my neck would get so swole.
You've just got like a fucking 25 grand camera on your forehead.
All right. So we got Sully Robertson says, I sprained my ankle really badly about 12 weeks ago, and it still hasn't healed fully. If you sprained it really badly, then I wouldn't expect it to have healed fully after 12 weeks. Probably take a lot longer. I mean, for an ankle to heal fully to the point where it feels completely fine after a bad sprain, then you're probably looking at like a year of conditioning, really. That doesn't mean you can't trick before then, but for it to feel as good as it did before you hurt it, expect it to take a long time, but work around it. Like, work on moves that are heavier on the other ankle, work on your technique on more basic moves, get way better at trampolining so that when your ankle is stronger, you can do all of that trampoline stuff on the floor. Like, you can still train productively, but just accept that it might take a while, and try not to worry about it. Try not to get too down. The more positive you can be, the better a time you're going to have while you're healing.
Yeah, because it can get rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I get what Drumev said. So in the beginning, he trained tricking for an hour and a half per day on the ground. And it was hard as hell at first, but now it feels normal. Yeah, I get that, because when I started tricking, then I used to trick loads every day, and it destroyed my body. But eventually, it felt normal. So yeah, at the start, but that's when you're super, super into it. When you've been doing it for a while, and you've got injuries and stuff, then you can't force it quite so much. But yeah, I guess beginners can force it a bit.
Yeah.
You're naked.
Caitlin said I look like a naked cat.
Oh, with your bobby hair. Go on, bob it.
Wait.
Oh god.
We should get, at some point, we'll have to get the famous Caitlin Ohashi in the live.
On the live.
Yeah.
Drumev,
I have been watching your live stream naked for 20 minutes.
honestly, Drumev, if you weren't naked and you're watching this, I'd be pissed. So every time you put it on, make sure it's out. I'm going to know if it's not.
Get your Alexander Wang out. Oh, God. What a... Why are there so many people from Iran commenting?
Because you're Iranian. They take one look at your nose and they're like, oh. One of us.
Oh, God.
Someone said technique or power? Which one, Omid?
Power. I don't want 0% technique. And I want 100% power. 0% Vorsprung durch technique.
Jacob said, how did you get into tricking? That's one for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
We talk about that all the time as well. I don't know. It's boring. Who cares, eh? Well,
Yeah.
I guess you care, but yeah. What Tyler Hubble said, I find the best sessions are sessions where I go over all my tricks briefly till I find that specific trick or trick area that feels good. Less to no expectations. Going into the session feels better. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good way to go. Though I can't go through all of my tricks because some of them mess me up. I'm not just going to test out like an aerial helicopter if I feel trash. You know?
Yeah.
But I guess going through tricking areas, so maybe if my aerial feels good, then I might start doing that. So yeah, I get what he means. I agree.
Somebody asked a question.
What?
In the actual questions thing, saying tips on managing your lifestyle around tricking, like having a job or going to college. I think that's definitely something we should talk about in future.
Yeah, we could do a big talk about that.
Yeah, because
that is... It is a thing. It's like, I mean, briefly covering it, I think it's definitely a mindset. I think you got to be prepared to, you've got to look for solutions rather than excuses. So no matter what you're doing, if you're studying, if you have a job, you've got to think, okay, how can I fit in solid training around what I'm doing? The way I always looked at it was like, tricking doesn't give a shit if you've got exams next week. Tricking doesn't care if you have to work 60 hours this week. Tricking does not care. You're going to get you're going to improve the amount you train. You know, it doesn't give a shit. So you've got to kind of zone out all of that stuff. Like when I work 60 hours a week, I still manage to train pretty much every day. I didn't let it affect my training. And if work ever has affected my training, then I change the work, reduce the amount of work.
Yeah.
You know, you can still do plenty. I think you can still work and study and have relationships and have fun with friends. You just got to be smart with your time, not be scrolling, not be watching TV, and just like plan out how you're going to make it work. A lot of people just say, oh, I'm studying so I can't trick, and they just like write it off like it can't be done. So yeah, being open-minded to it.
I think it just depends on what I think it just depends on what your actual goals are. Because if you're the type of person that is just going to go, oh, well, I'm studying, so I can't fit in an hour of doing tricks, then it's kind of like, well, you clearly ain't that bothered then.
Yeah, there's always some time to fit it in. Like, get up a bit earlier, you know, there's always time in the day.
But having said that, we do need, I think we should do like a full conversation about that.
We should, because that is a big topic, and that would be an interesting one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hope someday in future Iranian people can join to tournaments in the world.
Yeah, the Iranian takeover. Imagine they're like the Japan.
Yo, I've seen some of the tricks.
There's some good Iranians.
They're fucked. They do
their pull-ins and shit.
They do mental shit as well.
They need to fly you out. I would love that to happen. Omid around.
I don't know about all that. I feel like I'd never come back. I just like, this is my life now. I live here.
You just got the like white robes on and stuff in your next video. You got a wife there. You know, oh, I'd love that. I'd love that so much.
Summon my people. Yeah, I'd like to. I might just have like an only Iranian gathering. Where I just like, only Iranians allowed.
Oh. All right, what's Drumev saying? Drumev's leaving us.
How dare you? Yo, we're leaving in 1 minute.
Yeah, we're leaving in like seconds. So it's been real. Good chat, everyone. Thanks for taking part in it. And remember, these streams are going to get a lot better soon when me and Omid are in the same location. Maybe we'll do a social distance edition.
Just screaming at each other.
Just in the park, sitting on chairs 2 meters apart. No, when we can do it in the same place, it's going to be so much better. I'm excited.
Yeah,
but yeah, how long we got?
We've got 40 seconds. Should we just wrap it up?
Yeah. Let it finish naturally, though. We don't want it to delete itself like it did before.
Yeah.
But someone said, Kojo, why did you go bold on me? It wasn't a choice, actually. You know, I didn't just wake up and decide. Yeah.
You lot need to stop commenting on Kojo's bolding.
I've changed my perspective on this. I changed my perspective. I was like, I need to stop whinging about people being nasty to me because it's not a big deal. And there's like over 1,000 people who pay to watch my videos. I need to stop complaining, stop being such a bitch about it. So I'm going to try and not be
3
such
seconds.
a bitch about it.
Bye.
Peace.